Hello all. Today we're going to talk about SAP router configuration. Last time we spoke about SAP router architecture, how to install SAP router. Now, how to perform a SAP router configuration. To perform this SAP router configuration, the main file what we have required is SAP Routetab. When I say SAP Routetab, it's a file which is available under your SAP router folder. Let's say if you are installed under USR SAP route or USR SAP SID or USR SAP some XYZ, or you can use any different locations also. You can say C folder, SAP router, D folder, SAP router, anywhere. But this SAP route tab is available under your SAP router folder. Now, what is the purpose of this file? When you say this file, right, SAP route tab, it's just a file which will manage all your connections and it will route your request. What are the requests we are getting from X system to the SAP route to the Y system? Now, let me give you example. Is if SAP wants to connect to your SAP network, then SAP what it does? SAP asks you to open SAP route tab or SAP entries which is available inside your SAP route tab. Then if everything is fine, SAP will connect. At the same time, any user wants to connect through internet, then by maintaining this SAP router entries, we can connect to your direct systems. But one thing we have to remember here is SAP route tab will be having a public IP, and this IP you have to inform to SAP so that SAP will maintain your IP from their end. Otherwise, SAP cannot make a connection or cannot do the connection establishment or connection. They cannot connect to the your SAP system. Now, what it does? So, SAP Route tab, it will work on mainly two things. One is a direct connections without encrypting any data, which means any connections coming from SAP or outside SAP. Or let's say if factory person wants to connect without having your company network or VPN, they want to connect your system through internet, then you have to use a public IPs of your SAP router or SAP router strings. You can find all SAP router strings in your SAP GUI. Remember, using this SAP router string, you can only access SAP web system, not other systems. Now, as I told, two types of connections. One we called as a direct connection without doing any encryption. Another one we called as a encryption, which will perform SNC, right? Secure network communication. If you maintain this SNC, then you have to have the certificate. So SAP router is required a certificate which you can download from SAP Marketplace. So I can explain that in my next video, SAP certificate renewal. If you have a certificate, if you want to renew it, how to do that. The second one is without having a certificate, you can have direct connection and then you can do direct connection establishment. Okay, but that is not encrypted one. Now, what are the options we have to encrypt? What are the SAP route tab will permits to do these connections or entries? So rules. First, you have to follow some rules on this one. So in SAP route tab, whenever you are making any entry, you have to make entries with these things. P, D, KT, or this one KD, KP, KS, something like this. What are these? These are the rules. Based on these rules, the connections, whatever you're getting from system to SAP router to your target will be processed. When I say P, It's a permit. The connection has to be permitted for the P. I will show you connections, strings, entries, how it will be. When I say deny, which is nothing but what I have to deny, right? And next one is KT, which is key target. In this case, I have to use a SNC, which is a certificate based. So KT, if I use a KT string here, so what I have to do is, if I use a KT string here, I have to use SNC name of source system, source host, and source server. So everything I have to use as a source host, source server, name of SAP source server. That's a KT string. When it comes to KD, which is a destination host, destination server. When it is say P, which is nothing but your password. If you use KS, that means your string required a password. Okay. So if you use any KT or KD, these are the encrypted one using SNC. If you see here, KD, PS, SNC source host as destination host, destination server, and password. This means that encrypted SNC connection from SNC name and source host. Now via SAP router to destination host, destination server is set up when the route string contain the correct password. Otherwise, what will happen? You cannot establish a connection if you don't have a correct password. So that's the reason majority of the customers, they will not go with the passwords. These are the rules irrespective of any SAP route strings or SAP route tab entries you are making it. You have to make among these rules. Now see example, what are the entries we have in a SAP route tab. You see here SAP route tab, so KT key, see that KT is nothing but your key, right? So CN is equal to source system and OU organized unit is your name of this and organization is S. So this you can have, this is the by default for SAP router you're getting it, and this is the host. So which is nothing but when you say SAP server 2, it represent to this host, this IP. So after this, wherever you are calling SAP server 2, that means it is your this one. Indirectly you are calling this host. Okay. If you want to change, you can change it. But 194.39.131.34 is a SNC IP. And you can use another IP also without having a SNC. Without SNC, there is another IP. There is a node for this. I will mention. If you follow that node, then obviously you can mention that particular IP address. There are several examples which I have given. SNC connection to local system for R3 support. If you are using SNC connection to local, so local, right? So KP, this is your string and star is nothing but all server within your network and a port 3200, which is dispatcher port. And this is also same. So you are maintaining, so you cannot maintain comma 3200 comma 3300 comma 333400 comma. It's not like that. So each rule will have one single port 3200 301 33331 like this. And if you want to add another ports, you can add. You can add for SAP Java and SAP HANA systems, SAP HTTPS connections, any browser-based applications or ABAP systems also you can add here. SNC connection to local Windows system for WTS if applicable. So default WTS port is 3384. WTS is nothing but Windows Terminal Service, Windows Terminal Server, where we are using for remote desktop connection, right? The same port it will be used. This is default one 3389. If at all you want to use it, same as I told, right? This is the represented of this IP. So you see, this is the target, this is the source, target is star and 339. Instead of star, you can also give the IP address of your target host, which is WTS host. You can do that. Now, SNC connection to local Unix system for the SAP telnet. If you want to do the telnet, so you can use this port number 23 star. Again, you can change IP address instead of star here. SNC connection to local portal system or URL based or for URL based if applicable. Let's say portal server is my server dot my domain something, port number is 5660, and when you use hash number, what will happen? It won't allow you. It won't allow. That means this entry will not consider. So in this case, you can use this one and you have to maintain the host name, which is nothing but my server dot my domain. In based on your request, you have to put and the port number 50003 5004 500. It depends on your requirement. Depends on port. Access from local network to SAP. You can use 190.160.916.34. 190.68 dot 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 means yours, this one, and 194.939 dot, this is a, you see here, this is our router, right? This is a SAP router one, SAP router. Remember that this is SAP a router which we are connecting from here to SAP end. So here 192.168 the our side's IP address and SAP route IP address. So we are connecting from our router to SAP router on 3200 3299. 192.160 against this one star. If at all we want to connect from here to there on the star, you can also use P means, as I told, permit, and deny all other connections. Apart from these connections, if you want to deny it, then you can use D star star star. That means it will be denied. If the SAP router tab have these entries, then works correctly. But I want to limit the public IP. I will put the entry like this: P permit 192.0.168.0. star star. So based on this, these are the just example, and based on your organization, based on your requirement, you have to put your entries. Now let's say your SAP router is running and you want to keep some entries, or you want to amend some entries, or you want to delete some entries. How that will be? Those entries will be loaded to your SAP system. Now one of the advantage what we have here is, while you are running your SAP router without starting, you can load your SAP router entries. We call it as a reload. Okay, how to do that? We have a command called how to reload SAP Routetab. We have a command. If you go to SAP router and use this command called SAP router space -n. If you use this command, what will happen? It will automatically load your SAP entries, so that the entry whatever you have amended, you have added, or you have deleted, that will be immediately loaded to your SAP router. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, please comment.